It's Friday. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Oh, my goodness. It is Friday, right before spring break. So that means our sweet Andrew is home for 10 days, which is so exciting. We're going to be taking a little bit of a trip, and I'm very excited. We were only going to stay for 2 nights, but we've decided to extend it to 3 because we really need a little bit of a break. Hey, everybody. Welcome. So how has your week been? Are you looking forward to the weekend? You guys, it is 86 degrees in Charleston today. It's not even April yet. This scares me a little bit for the summer. I'm like, how is it almost 90 degrees? I took Evie outside and she was sweating within 5 minutes. And I was like, we have to go inside. And she was very, very excited or very, very sad to have to leave. Yeah, boop. So this is from Ruby, my favorite character from Ruby, which is Nora. I love this shirt. Bubbly Bounce is caffeinated sparkling water, triple berry. They have a couple different flavors. So 35 milligrams of caffeine. I am needing it today. Oh no, Laura, it's 92 in Orlando. Where did that go? Oh my gosh, that is so crazy. JD, hey. Oh my gosh, you guys. Yeah, it's super, super warm. So it's like, what is this summer going to be? I have no idea. I'm a little bit nervous. It's going to be in the hundreds. It's probably going to be a very hot summer, but I feel for the people working on our house. That's all I can say. We were thinking about maybe, because they've been working in the weekends and stuff too, we were thinking about maybe making it a Saturday ritual to pack up a cooler full of like ice waters and, you know, snacks or fruit or something like that, and take that out to the guys working on the houses, because they're currently building 6 houses all around our little section there. So I thought that might be a fun little thing if we go out to visit the house, to take them some snacks. So, because they probably, I mean, I'm sure they have water and Gatorade and all kinds of stuff with them, but maybe they would appreciate a little bit of extra. Georgia's weather is drunk. Oh no, is it cold or is it warm? So yeah, the background music, the kids are kind of running around over there. It's so crazy. We go to the beach on Sundays when we can. I can't wait to go this weekend. That sounds amazing. We would love to get to out to Kiowa Island sometime soon, but since we're going to Myrtle Beach on Monday, we're probably not going to the beach this weekend. So we're going to be beach bound on Monday, and mostly we have a suite. So we have a 2-bedroom suite in Myrtle Beach, and we are going to be cooking and just kind of staying in our room most of the time and over on the beach. So I'm very, very excited. Oh no, Georgia had tornadoes. Well, that's terrible. My sister is in North Carolina, and she is my news for Georgia weather and things like that. She is celebrating her anniversary with her partner in North Carolina this week. So they have been gone for a few days. So I do have a lot of things to share. Rider on Wheels says, Ruby has been on my to-watch list forever. You definitely need to see it. It's incredible. I love it. It's a really, really good one. So check it out for sure. So we do have some questions in the Coven, and you'll notice for a limited time, I have Facebook still on my phone. So we're going to kind of talk about some updates that some of you might have seen. And I also have my, do you guys hear Evie over there? I have my screen ready to go over here in my Chrome tab. Let's see if I can pull this up. So I have some Friday updates for you guys. So kind of some fun stuff. So I'll start with maybe a couple of questions, and then we'll go on to some of the coffee chat, other things I wanted to share with you guys. So Megan had said, my cousin Natalie and I read your books, and we were wondering how you write them so fast, but so clean and good. And then Brandy said, magic. Thank you, Brandy. And it maybe is a little bit of a magic. I will say that it's so funny because I don't put out a lot of books. Like the biggest year I ever had was 5, which 5 is a lot of books in a year. It definitely is. But most years throughout my career, it's been 2 books a year, maybe 3. And while that is still a really good amount, like traditional publishing, most of the authors for years and years and years only write 1 to 2 books a year. So I'm kind of on track with that. Whereas there are a ton of indies who write 5 to 10 books a year. And I don't understand how they keep up with that. It's possible that they, are, I don't know, they're just better at plotting than I am. I have no idea. But some people do it and they still write amazing, clean, really good books, even though they're writing a lot of books. But I tend to go slower. So I appreciate that you said fast, because I feel like I'm the slowest author ever sometimes. But it is true that I've been working on the plot and the different things for Vengeful Darkness for years now. I have notes for the past 2 years. Every time I think about something in the books that I'm writing, or I think about something in a movie that I'm watching, I'll think about something that goes on with Harper's point of view and I'll write it down. So I've been keeping notes for 2 years and letting that story kind of marinate for a while. But now that I've only got, a month left before the book is coming out, a month and a half, I am just now sitting down to write the rough draft. So really, when I sit down to write, I do actually write it fast. And I would say that's one of the things, or I will say usually and hopefully, if the muse will stand by my side during this crazy time, it will be written quickly. But for me, I think you just have to understand that every writer has their process. Some people don't plot at all. They don't even spend a single day plotting. They maybe write a few notes about the characters and then they're, here we go. But then when they get to the editing process, sometimes there's a huge mess because they were exploring the story as they go. And so editing can take months and months. So I know some writer friends who write a book in like 10 to 15 days, and then it takes them 6 months to edit that book because they were writing more of an exploratory draft. I know other people who literally sit down, they plot the book in 2 days, they write the book in 15 days, they edit it in 10 or 15 days, and it's out in a week. And I just don't know how they do that, but they do it. And I watch it happen, and they're good books. And so it just kind of, you just have to try not to compare yourself to other people and just figure out your process and focus on yourself and say, how can I improve my process? But I do appreciate that you said that they're so good and so clean. I do always have still a few typos here and there, but hopefully there aren't a ton. And part of it is because I do a lot of self-editing on my own before I even hand it over to beta readers. I have some really good beta readers with an eye for detail. Then I have some great proofreader and copy editors. So it goes through a bunch of stages, even though it happens really fast. But also, I don't know, I think that it's partially because I never stop learning. I never stop trying to improve myself. I never stop trying to make the stories better. And I am a perfectionist in a lot of ways, not so much in the plot or in the every single word needs to be the best word forever, but very much in the way of this story needs to be the best story that I can write. And I always focus more on that side of it of these characters need to be believable. I need to put my heart into them as if they're real people. I want to make sure that my readers can see this happening in their head as they're reading it. It's like a movie in their head, and they want to turn the page and never stop. And I'm always thinking about that experience. But the plotting is what takes me by far the longest, because I can't, sometimes I just can't wrap my head around what are these twists going to be? Where is this going? What do these characters need to be? Because there's so many threads to that plot. And so I have spent a ton of time on plot for this book. And so I would say, in terms of writing fast, it's mostly because I personally put so much time into plot that by the time I sit down to write, I know exactly what is supposed to go on the page. Now, where things get into trouble is when things don't go on the page the way that I saw them happening, and characters and things tell me, nope, this is not going to happen. You can't finish this book in just one more book. You've got to have two. And I need to just continue to surrender to the muse, because that is the way. But thank you for the compliment. Patty said, I had a question about Harper finding her mother's journal. What gave you the idea of putting the journal in the mirror, and how did you decide what she should learn from her mother's journal? I'm really enjoying you reading Shadow Demons. So I kind of talked about this a little bit in the previous one, that I just knew, because I have always loved that idea of an old home and finding something in the walls or something in the floorboards. I love that idea. And it really happens to people that they move into homes and find things that were left behind. And I just think that is the coolest, like, little time capsule thing to ever happen to people. And so I thought it would just be a neat thing for Harper. And I expected for her to find it in the floorboards. But as I was having her standing in that mirror, I just had this thought of how cool would it be if it was inside the mirror? Because the other thing I kept thinking was, she's a witch. Her mother, she's a witch. She doesn't want anyone to find this journal. So she wouldn't just hide it under the floorboards like a regular human would, right? She would put some kind of spell on it or some kind of magic that would make it almost impossible for anyone else to know it was there, unless it was her looking in the mirror, which is the only reason Harper can unlock it, is because she's wearing her mother's dress. She looks just like her mother. So that was kind of where the idea came from for me. And deciding what she needed to learn from her journal, I knew that I had to plant the seeds about Elle, because that is coming to a head here coming up. And I knew that I wanted to show some of the relationship and what was going on with her father, that he was kind of not really in the picture and that sort of thing. I did not expect the Jackson part of it. I did not expect the J and the demon. And I was like, I don't even know where this is going. And I don't know how this is going to all come together. So it took some time. Sometimes that happens to me when I'm writing, that things will just come into the story and I have to listen to it. That muse always wins, right? And I should have put it in the slides, because it's kind of hard to share it otherwise, but I will see if I can pull it up. But sometimes when those little things come up, that it's like, oh, okay, my intuition is telling me this is what needs to go into the story, and I will figure out how it plays a role in the story later. And I just trust that it will come together. And so I decided some of it came out when I was writing. Taryn said, do you still sing? I sing my child to sleep, and that's pretty much it. I think I've talked about this before too, but when I got pregnant with Andrew, I sort of lost my upper range in my voice. And so as someone who is a soprano and could sing high and really loud, it's like I just completely lost that ability. And I did go to a lot of doctors afterward, and they couldn't quite figure out exactly what physiologically changed in my body to take that away. So I still have a really nice singing voice in a lower register, but I used to be a soprano singing high notes and everything else. And now I just kind of lost it. So I don't really sing the way that I used to sing. I don't know if it'll ever come back. We shall see. Probably not. So it's almost like when I hear recordings of my old singing, it's almost like it's a different person at this point, like a different lifetime. It's very strange. But now when I try to sing high, it's like literally just nothing comes out. It sounds like croaking sounds. Like, it's not just that it doesn't sound as nice. It's like I literally cannot sing those higher registers. So I don't sing as much as I used to. So Tamara had said, can you give a little behind the scenes of your one-on-one coaching package? Thanks in advance. So I have not been offering the one-on-one coaching packages for a while. So for those of you that are like, what the heck is that? When I started offering my course for HB90, I also offered some limited coaching spots, which were like one-on-one Zoom meetings where I could try to help you with your career and different things like that. Then after I started working on that a little bit, I also opened up some longer coaching packages, like 6-month coaching package. And it's all good. I enjoyed it. I loved every single person that I worked with, but I think that I stopped offering it a little bit because I don't know how to explain it exactly, but I think that I need better systems around like making sure that the people that sign up are really ready to be working with me. Because I think that a lot of times what I saw was people that were signing up that were not quite ready to be finishing their book or to be moving on to the next round of, of things. And so then it would be like, we're supposed to finish these 3 sessions in the next 3 months, and people would want to extend it. So now it takes them 6 months to use it, and then they want 9 months or a year. And I think that as much as I want to be able to help people, it was more my fault than theirs, because I wasn't super clear because I had never done that before of, this is when we need to use them. And here we are. I think I just wasn't very good at that kind of stuff. So I sort of paused the coaching package because I didn't feel like I was 100% giving people what they were paying for in terms of being clear about what I was offering. But when I was doing those, and we do have a few people, I don't know if they're here right now, that have done those one-on-one coaching packages and hopefully got a lot out of them. But when I was doing those, the smaller ones that were only a few hours of my time were like really trying to come up with what's your premise of your story? How do you want to strategize your career? Stuff like that. Jennifer, I didn't want to say your name because I was like, I don't know privacy. I'm not going to say anything, but worth every penny. Jennifer Evelyn Hayes was my very first ever person to sign up for my coaching package. And I loved working with you, Jennifer, for sure. And maybe someday again in the future, but I will definitely be cheering you on as you go, continue on with your career. But I was offering a bigger coaching package that was either 6 months or a year. And that included a full critique of your novel, working with you, talking to you on a daily basis and stuff like that. And I really, really enjoyed that. But it also is something that breaks up my day because getting into getting into the right mood to be one-on-one, to be fully present with whoever I'm working with is kind of like, it's hard for me to switch from like, I'm in writing mode to let me be there 100% for you. And so I just stopped doing it for now, but I would love to pick it up again. It's just a matter of kind of figuring out what my boundaries are because I don't want anybody paying for it. And then, context switching costs. That's very true. It was like, even if I knew I had a coaching appointment at like 3 p.m., I would spend all day kind of thinking through that person's strategy and what do I want to say and what are we going to talk about? And that's great for them, but not so good for me and my time and my focus. And so I just feel like I loved it. I would like to do more of it. What I have been considering doing instead that would take up less time, but I would still be able to serve people and it would actually be more affordable is having like a group coaching thing where maybe for a 6-month period of time, people pay a monthly fee and we have a very small group of like 5 or 6 people that meet, once a week for an hour. And we go through some critiques. We talk about cover art. I could give you marketing strategies. We talk about Instagram, different things like that. So it would be kind of like a small group mastermind that would be genre focused. So it would be like all romance writers, all young adult writers or paranormal writers, that kind of thing. So that's something that might be on the table for the future. So yes, to group coaching, Jennifer's interested. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in as an author, definitely let me know and let me know what genre you write so I can kind of plan some of that. But that would make it more affordable because there would be more people, but also better for me. And I think I could serve you guys better. Plus then we'd have a group of people giving feedback. So I think that would be fun. I'm going to answer one more and then we're going to move on to, actually, I might be able to just answer all 3 of them before we move on to the other stuff. So how do you manage, Kim says, how do you manage weeks when your personal life is so busy you can't get to writing items in your planner? It's been a crazy week for me. I'm going to do a lot of grounding and meditation this week. It is really tough when you've got a lot of other things besides your writing to do because I think because writing projects are such long-term projects, it can get very easy to focus only on the things that are due right now. Like, oh, I've got to respond to this email right now. I've got to get this video up that's due tomorrow. I have to answer these 3 things. And so it's like the things that feel like they're happening now or deadlines are now become more important. And when you have a lot of those things that are really important right now, the long-term writing project can seem to get pushed to the side. That's what I've been finding a lot lately. So I think you have to carve out the time and you have to say, if you can't carve out a specific period of time, like 9 to 11, then you have to just say, this is my priority. And I am not finishing the day until I've written 3 sprints or whatever it's going to be. And you have to just sit down and take the time because Otherwise, it's going to continue to get pushed back and pushed back. And for me, lately, what I've been saying is if it's been 2 days and I've pushed the writing back, then it has to stop and something else is going to have to get pushed. And I don't care what it is. As long as it's not my kids, I can miss a video. Like I didn't have a video up yesterday because I'm working on this book and I was dealing with pain in my shoulder, which by the way is so much better today. So it's just one of those things. Like sometimes you're just going to have to say, well, this other thing I committed to is not getting done because this is what I have to focus on, and taking that long-term approach of saying, okay, this is a longer term project that's easy to push back, but it has to be my priority. And I think you have to do it. Angela said, hi, Sarah, hope you and family are well. I don't want to annoy anyone. So if this question will, then please delete and don't hate me. Nobody would hate you, I promise. Have you published on KDP? And if so, what would you advise for a newbie? And she says, I mean, where you can publish in paperback, not an ebook. So since you said KDP, so KDP is Kindle Direct Publishing, and that is for both Kindle ebooks and for paperbacks. They do actually are starting to have hardcovers as well, but the hardcovers are case bound like hardcovers, which is really weird. There's no dust jacket, so I don't think I'll be using that service. But basically, when you publish on KDP, you need to set up your account the way that you want to set it up and then, get publishing. So I do have a walkthrough on my Sarah Cannon website, as believe it or not, that walks you through, because this was before I started Heart Breathings, that kind of walks you through how to publish to KDP. But definitely nobody would hate on you for sure, but answering like advice for someone new to be publishing to Amazon is like asking me to give a 6-hour seminar, because there's so much that goes into it. So I would say probably the best thing to do is head over to my Heart Breathings channel and listen to my series on how to write a best-selling series, how to publish a best-selling series. And that'll give you a lot of general information for all the different vendors in terms of coming up with your publishing strategy and things like that. There's tons of information on that channel that's not specific to KDP, because I publish literally everywhere. But if you're talking specifically about paperbacks, I guess my advice is just really think about what size you want it to be, because a lot of people will come in and they'll choose the wrong size of paperback, and then they'll get it in and it's like not at all the size of some of the other books. Most indies will go between the 5x8 up to the like 6x9. I go in the middle. I go 5.5 by 8.5. But just put some thought into those types of choices, because once you do it, you can't change it. So that's one of my biggest parts of advice. But that is just such a big question. It's so hard to answer, but definitely go follow me on Heart Breathings, because you will find it there. Also, just another side note about Heart Breathings, for those of you that follow me there on Instagram, I wanted the name Heart Breathings for my Instagram when I first signed up, but it was taken by somebody who had posted like one picture 6 years ago or so, something like that. And so I couldn't use it. So I used Heart Breathings blog, and I go back every once in a while and check. And yesterday it was available. So my Instagram handle over there has changed to just Heart Breathings instead of Heart Breathings blog. So that is very exciting. Alex said, any advice for plotting sequels? The biggest issue I have is the first doorway / end of Act 1 seems to be coming too soon in terms of word count. And I think the reason is there's not so much setup needed with character introductions and the fantasy world, unless I'm doing it wrong. If the standard is roughly to 20 to 25% for Act 1, is there a bare minimum that wouldn't mess with pacing? I hope this makes sense. So I would say you could do it as early probably as 15% in a sequel if you really have that like inciting key event that's going to happen. But I think any earlier than 15% and you're really pushing it. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have an inciting incident. You can still have an inciting incident, but your character doesn't get locked into the action of the plot. Like you can have the first dead body, or you can have the first like clue or mystery appear, but your character doesn't take that action that they can't come back from until that first doorway. So it could be that you're mislabeling the first doorway and you're just thinking about that inciting incident potentially. So maybe take a look at that. The other thing is, sometimes that beginning of the second book, depending on whether you're writing a dynamic series or like a standalone series, can be a reaction to what's happening next. So as I move into writing Vengeful Darkness, this whole first act is basically response to the end and all the events of what happened towards the end of book 10. And I can't get specific about that, but for those of you that have read it, there's pretty epic battle stuff happening in that last like 30 to 40% of book 10. And so this is all reaction. So a lot of times, especially with a dynamic series, you're going to have a lot of reaction time for kind of introducing people back to this is the new way of life. This is how we've recalibrated before that next big thing. But you can have an inciting incident early on. It's just that your character doesn't have that key event. So, so a reaction of book 1. So you have that reaction of book 1, you can have an inciting incident, but you just have that main character or that main set of characters doesn't lock themselves into the real premise of this book, the real action of this book until at least 15 to 25%, I would say. Hopefully that helps. JC says, any advice on how to stop being one of those people who keeps writing books and doesn't seem to get around to editing them? That is a mindset issue, I would say. That shiny new object, my advice is look deeper within yourself and your past and why you are so scared to actually be successful, because there might be some part of you that feels like you're not good enough, that you're too scared. So you enjoy the process of writing, but the idea of actually like putting yourself out there, getting criticism, starting to make money, having to move from just it being a hobby to your real career, maybe some part of that scares you. So that is a mental battle that we all kind of face. I write books and then only intend to set them aside to let them breathe, but then I start writing another book. I think that something that you might want to do is just make a decision for yourself and say, okay, said I was going to set this aside, but I am not going to do it. Instead, I'm going to write this next book and then I'm going to go back. So sit down right now today, as soon as this live is over, JC, and say, this is the book I'm going back to. And if you're currently writing something, finish writing that one, but then decide if you're going to let that one breathe, what are you going back to finish? And then just say, I will not move on to anything else until this book is done, and just let it go, let it fly, let it edit itself, and make a decision about what you want to do. Because it sounds to me almost like I don't want to psychoanalyze, but I just know from my own personal experience, when I'm avoiding something, it's because there's some sort of self-sabotage going on there, that it's like, it sounds fun. I want to be a writer. I know I'm doing this, but the idea of actually having to take this difficult thing, because editing is difficult. It's especially if your rough drafts are not 100% how you wanted the book to be. It's fun to get the ideas on the page, but the thought of taking this big jumble, I talk about it in Publish and Thrive about being like a big, I talk about it, I think in HB 90 about your to-do list being this big jumble of Christmas lights, like the Christmas Vacation movies. Chevy Chase trying to undo that huge ball of Christmas lights, because that's sometimes what our book feels like. It's like, I don't even know where to start with this. So it's easy to just say, well, I'm going to keep moving on to the next big idea, right? I had a book published and it didn't do well, mostly because the publishing company didn't market it. Yeah. So maybe there's still some residual fear there of, what if I keep doing this and it's still not successful? And so for now, when you're writing and it's fun, the dream is still alive. And maybe there's some part of you that's scared that once you get it out there, that you'll realize you're not good enough. And that's a terrifying thing, but it's not going to happen, right? You're going to be fine. Just keep working. National Lampoon Christmas Vacation. It's like my brain never wants to come up with anything. Catherine said, what is the average time you take to plot? And when do you know you have plot enough to get started? So I don't think I have an average time, but it's usually at least 3 to 5 months usually. But like The Witch's Key, I was plotting it as I was going. So that was an anomaly. So you never kind of know. With these long series books like Fate Surrender, deep in a series, at least 4 months or so to plot. And sometimes I'm plotting stuff while I'm writing other things, like I'll be writing ideas, but that is the plotting is what takes me the longest time. And I know when I have enough to get started, when I have a really clear idea of what all those turning points are, at the end of Act 1, the midpoint and the mirror moment, whatever that black moment is. As long as I have that and I think I know how the story's going to end, I'm ready to start writing. So that's for me when I know. All right. So dun, 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 dun. I have some updates. I do have house updates. I saw some people asking, hey, Ashara. I almost said Ascara. That is not how you say that. I think it's easy to push editing away when you know plot problems are there, but no idea what's wrong. Yes. And sometimes it feels like a bigger problem than it is. So that can be daunting, that resistance that we feel, but it's like, oh, writing new stuff, that'll be easy, right? And then it's like, oh gosh, it's so hard to actually go. Do you have any advice for making sticky notes on the Kanban board stay up? So there's a few different things. One, what surface are you using? Because some surfaces, like a textured wall or a cork board, it's just not going to stay up. Number two, you have to use Post-it brand, preferably super sticky. I have never been able to get, well, I won't say that because the dark purple ones on my board right now are not Post-it brand Post-its, but I have a little bit of a hack there and I don't have time to go over it because I got other things I want to talk about. But also, if you're stacking them up the way that I do, where you've got some overlapping, you have to not put them so far. Like you have to give them enough space that they're sticking onto the actual surface instead of just sticking onto each other. Because if they're sticking onto each other, they're going to fall down. It could also be that your room is really humid or something like that. So I don't know, toy around with it. If you want to send me a direct message or an email about what your exact setup is, maybe I can help you troubleshoot it because I know they do fall down. I actually have had pretty good success with mine because I feel like I have worked on it for a bit, but like mostly like I have a painted surface right now. Plexiglass worked for me and a whiteboard worked for me. So all of those have worked great for me. So, but I did notice when I was putting them down and they were mostly stacked really tight on top of each other and they were mostly sticking to each other that they wouldn't stay up. So I've got to put them separated enough that the majority of the sticky, or at least half the sticky, is actually on the board itself. The other thing is when you pull a sticky note off, here, let me make this bigger. When you pull a sticky note off the block, don't pull it up like this, because see how that makes it curl and then it makes it hard to stick on the board. Instead, always peel them from side to side like this, and then it's not as curled on the sticky part. So that is a much better tip. And that helped me a lot because I used to notice that always this corner, they would always be so curled that the corner would stay up. The other thing that I've been doing that is helping is on these bigger pads, there is more sticky than there is on the small pads. So if you're using the small pads, maybe use these and cut them down. And I know there's some waste, but you can actually reuse the wasted parts, but the actual sticky part is thicker. Sticky engineering is it really is. If you have curly sticky notes, try pulling them side to side or pulling them downward instead of pulling them up. Little tricks. I have become intimate with sticky notes, which sounds worse than it should be. All right. So coffee chat updates real quick. So here's one big thing. Some of you may have seen this. I could do a small course on sticky notes. I actually had someone ask for a refund on the HB90 course because they were like, what's all this stuff about planning and sticky notes? This is not the course for me. And I was like, well, I don't know how you ended up here, but I'm so sorry because this is what all I want to talk about. But yes, it's pretty crazy. So I posted this to my Instagram and a few of my groups, but I wanted to just post it here as well. Putting my phone down, picking my life up. George and I were having some pretty serious conversations lately about, as my quarter begins for Q2 and starting to think about, how I want to be more creative, what's really affecting my mental health and my creativity. It really becomes hard for me to do. I think I wrote it down, but I did something like 90 hours of live video in Q1, which is a lot. And I ran 2 full courses. And it's a lot. And on top of that, I probably spent hours every day answering instant messages, direct messages, emails. Even with Janet's help, I'm still getting kind of bombarded. And so because I truly am, I know this sounds cheesy, but I'm really dedicated to making sure that my students have a good experience, that all my fans feel valued. I always feel like I need to answer things really quickly. And so I feel bad if somebody messaged me at 9 p.m. and I don't have an answer for them until the next morning. So I pretty much always have my phone with me. And what ends up happening is, because it's an addictive kind of thing, I will have my phone with me at dinner and it goes off. And sometimes what happens is, like last week, I got a message talking about how they thought some of my Shadow Demons content was problematic. And so then that like fear of, what have I done something wrong? Are people going to be mad at me? Have I, whatever, I want to answer this. I want to make sure this person feels valued, that kind of thing. And there's this part of me that gets very afraid that if I miss a message or I miss something that was important, or somebody's criticism of me, or anything else, that if I don't answer it fast enough, somehow I'm going to lose my momentum, or I'm going to lose people's respect, or there's a lot of fear, and that is a very fear-based way to be, because I think that growing up in a household with a narcissistic, abusive parent, I always felt like I had to be at her beck and call, and I was never good enough. Boundaries are a very difficult thing for me. And because I do truly care so much, I want to be there. And I can set office hours, but even that is difficult for me to maintain, because I want to check things and I want to make sure, and I want to, I have had trouble with office hours in the past, and with people getting really upset with me and asking for money back because I didn't answer them fast enough, things like that. And I just want to take a break, and I'm going to try something new so that I can build a little bit more space for myself, because I find that the more time I spend online, especially with as difficult as things have been for the past year with the pandemic and a lot of people pushing boundaries and yes, struggles of being an empathetic soul, a lot of people suffering, a lot of people going through hard times. I take it on as if like the whole world is going to pieces. And that is not good for my mental health. So as things are getting really good in my life, they're also continuing to get more and more anxiety issues. And I find myself feeling like I'm in a panic attack a lot of times in the evenings. So here's my changes for the next quarter. Facebook is going off my phone, and I have not even had a chance to delete it yet, because I knew I wanted to check with the messages that were left there in the coffee chat. But it's also this like almost like feels like PTSD to take Facebook off my phone because I use it so much. So that's going off my phone. Email is coming off my phone. No DMs or private messages on my phone. I don't want to turn them off. George keeps telling me to just turn them off completely. But I don't want to turn them off because I have good conversations in my DMs and stuff like that. So I just don't, I don't know. I'm having a hard time with that, but I'm not going to check them on my phone. Only checking in at work times, set work times to maintain healthy boundaries. So I'm going to try to not even check with my messages and emails or anything else. And I had a conversation with Janet earlier today and told her, if you check my emails and everything in the morning, if there's some kind of fire or someone's really mad at me or something that I need to deal with, then you can let me know. And otherwise, I'm just not going to check my phone at all. And actually what I might do, I was talking to my business mentor, Amber, about this earlier today. What I might do is actually go and purchase a used phone online so that I can have a work phone that pretty much stays in my office and has the things that I need. Because like Instagram, I still want to do stories and stuff, and I can't really post that from my computer because the way Instagram works. So I've got to keep it on my phone. But what I might do is keep it on my work phone and have a separate work phone. I'm still going live on YouTube. This won't change. And in fact, you guys might not even really notice that much of a difference, because a lot of the stuff that I'm changing are the things that are happening in private, Um, Still hanging out on Discord on my computer. So when I'm gaming, I'm still going to have my Discord up. I'm still going to have Discord on this computer. My Facebook will be here on this computer, but it won't be on my phone, which will keep it when I'm outside with the kids or we're at the beach with the kids or anything like that. Then I don't have to worry about not being fully present. Evie is in such a beautiful period of time of her life. Andrew's almost 9 years old, which means he's about to be a double-digit kid in the next year. And it's like, I want to be there for these experiences. And it's not that I'm not there. I just am not always fully as present as I want to be. Still checking in on my groups every day. I'm still going to check in every day. It just might take me a little bit longer to respond to tags and messages and emails. And in fact, some emails are just not going to get answered. And it doesn't mean that I don't read them or appreciate them, but some of them are just going to have to go for my mental health. And that's, I apologize, but it will be that way. Facebook makes me grumpy. It does, you guys. And this, I don't know. It's kind of hard to, yeah, I pretty much will give people a refund for any reason that they want a refund, because I want them to be happy, and that's totally fine. But I really think that it was less about me and more about her having anxiety about the work that I wanted her to do. And maybe she just wasn't in the right place for that. So that is fine. No hard feelings for it, but it's just that kind of, it's very vulnerable thing to say, and it's not an excuse. But if for any of you who know and have grew up with a narcissistic mother that needed you to always, like, her happiness was more important than mine. And I had to be there for her at all times. And otherwise I was a constant disappointment, and nothing I could do was ever good enough. And so it's that feeling of needing to prove your worth and yet never being told you're good. And I carried that through into my 40s, and it's just the way it is. And it's something I understand about my patterns, and I need to change them as much as I can. So did we have the same mom? I hope not. I'm so sorry, Catherine. And it's a challenge. So it is, but I just wanted to let you guys know that I don't want to put any negative energy out there, but this is actually something I'm doing so that I can keep my positive energy going, because I know that positive energy is magnetic. I know that it is contagious, and I want to make sure that you guys get the best version of me that I can possibly put out. And so, I'm taking those extra steps to protect this. House updates. Who wants to see house update? So last couple of times I showed you guys, this is where the house was. It was mostly just the garage. Then last week we were or 2 weeks ago, we were here. We had some of the framing. Look at where the house is now. Oh my gosh. You guys, look at my house. I am so excited for how this is coming together. Like, it's actually the frame. There's a roof on the house. So what happens next basically is there's a few other little things they have to do. This is the first thing that they've had a little bit of a delay on, because the front there's no stairs in the house yet. I guess they're just going up with ladders for now, but there will be stairs in the front, and then there will be stairs in the garage as well. And they're having some issues with something with the stair treads, or I don't know what, because of COVID supply issues. So they're going to be a little bit delayed, but what will happen next is they'll put the stairs in, then they'll put the actual roofing on, and they'll put the Tyvek or whatever it is on the sides. And then after that, some of the trades people will come in. And then once that gets done, we'll have another meeting with our builder. So he said that'll be about 3 weeks from now. And then they'll start actually drywalling. So big changes happening to the house. So this photo on my left side here is the inside of one part of the garage. So we'll have two entrances to the garage, and then in the middle there, so what you're seeing kind of on that left side is where our stairs will be. So we'll come in, we'll park, one of us, I'll give George a side and then I get a side, but this is long enough that we could fit a boat and 2 cars. Like, this is a huge garage, like 6-car garage. So we're super excited about this. And then there will be a middle part that has stairs leading up to the house. And no, people have asked, but no, we are not putting in an elevator. We're just going to carry stuff up the stairs, and it's going to be crazy. But on the back of the house, there is a screened in porch. So that's what you're looking at right now, is that top, like up above, that's where the screened in porch will go. So she's giving me this view of the under, like, overhang part. And I just wanted to show you guys, this is what I'm hoping to put down there. Not necessarily the wooden floor, because there'll be concrete here, is going to be this beautiful, like, nook that I'm going to put together with basically an outdoor living space. And I cannot wait to sit in this space with my fairy lights and read at night and all kinds of stuff, watch the kids play in the backyard. And we will have to be putting a fence between us and the water, but we're talking about putting in a fence that's just like see-through fence, basically like wire instead of wood, because I still want to be able to see the water, but we don't want alligators in our yard. So now kind of moving on to some of the Peachville stuff. So many homes in Peachville are loosely inspired by homes where I grew up in Hawkinsville. So for example, this one was always known as the Dent House. And this was across the street from the church where I was pretty much, it's not a public waterway. It's just like a little pond, but it kind of belongs to the homeowners association. And yes, there are no known gators in our pond, but they do move around. So there's possibly one that will be in there. Welcome to Charleston. But this house is a 3-story house that often was something I dreamed about, like what's in that house. The inside of this house I don't have photos of, but it's so beautiful. This house is so beautiful. And it's old. It was built maybe in the late 1890s-ish. But it was across the street from my church. Here's another photo of it. And this photo, the first photo was one I took. This photo is from VanishingSouthGeorgia.com, where you can find a lot of old Southern homes that are kind of falling apart now, but this one's been remodeled and restored. So the Ashworths, which is where this party is taking place, the Ashworths lived in luxury, just like everyone else in this limousine, excluding me, of course. Their home was a blue 3-story house built before the Civil War. Pretty white shutters adorned all of the many windows in the front of the house. So that is just a little excerpt from Inner Demons, which was book 2, talking about the Ashworths house. The Ashworths house, in my mind, is a lot like this house called the Cabiro house in my town. And this house actually was not pre-Civil War. This house was built in 1902. And that first picture was my attempt to take a photo of it, but there were people behind me and I was trying to take a picture and did not realize until later that my phone focused on my car instead of the house, but it still kind of turned out to be a pretty picture. But this picture is taken from that Vanishing South Georgia website. But this house kind of is how I picture the wrought iron, like 2nd-story balcony that Harper first sees Agnes on in her home. But this is really how I picture the Ashworths house. And this is kind of a front view of it, except I see it as being like with having another floor at the top. But anyway, just kind of an idea of how that might happen. So this is where the party is taking place, but it's taking place in the back where there are a bunch of tents set up and things like that. So the girls in their angel costumes could be anything from kind of sexier angels to, more like little girl type dresses or short dresses, something like this that looks kind of more like a graduation dress, or something like this that's a little bit more flowy. But all the cheerleaders have all dressed in their white dresses. But then we have Harper's ball gown, and I very much see it being something like this. So almost like she is dressed as a black rose. So piles and piles of chiffon, beaded lace corset with, mostly like shoulders showing, that kind of thing. So this is very much like the dress I could totally see Harper wearing to this party with all these girls in white. She's wearing black. So here's another kind of example of dress. This is sexier than I would ever see Harper wearing, but just kind of gives you an idea of another skirt that might be on her dress, or something more like this, where it's kind of just off the shoulders, but has maybe more like lacy beaded work on the corset type place, or on the top of it. So this is kind of how I see. Now, like I said, that one with the sweetheart neckline there, I don't see Harper wearing a dress like that was kind of that sort of low cut. So take that top off of it, but imagine that sort of that skirt like that. If Jackson, I kind of had some fun with this, so I wanted to get to it before we have to go. If Jackson had his way, he'd show up like this. I was laughing when I was coming up with this because it just is so funny to me. Inexplicably shirtless. And plus, then we get to see Ian Somerhalder. Just kidding. Insert sexy half smile. So you guys know that the actor I always saw as Jackson from the beginning was Ian Somerhalder, and he has that half smile. And this is like the perfect gift for that because it's just like perfect. I don't know. He's just amazing. But I couldn't really find a great photo of Ian when he was younger wearing a suit without a tie. There are some photos of him now, but of course he looks much older. But this is kind of a younger Ian a little bit. Just imagine to take that tie off and have the shirt open a little bit. And there you have Jackson. Then we also have the actress that I always have seen from the beginning as Leah, which is Michelle Rodriguez. So I totally see her. She's badass. She's perfect to play Leah. It's like if you could take these character or these actors and make them 10, 15 years younger and then start filming in the next couple of years, they would be perfect. They're all going to be too old by the time this gets made, but you never know. Him's still sexy too. Yes, definitely. Should probably stalk my wife's PC. She'll have loads of pics of him. We do love him. We do love him. Oh, Carrollton, Georgia. Is that more North Georgia? I cannot remember where Carrollton is. I know I've heard of it. So book update. I've been working on Vengeful Darkness. I did officially start writing the rough draft this week. So here is how I am tracking my word count. I have a word count tracker. I kind of took you guys through this a little bit, but I am hoping that by the end of the last like 25 sprints here, that I'll be at 16,250. And I'm actually on track for that. And then by the end of that second column, I'll be at 32,500 and so on. So I'm behind where I wanted to be at this point because I thought by the end of March, I would probably be 30 to 40,000 words in. I'm not there. I'm at 12,115. I'm also color coding my sprints. So you can see that some of them are red, some are purple, some are blue. And I'll just tell you that the purple ones are Harper, and I won't say who else is everything else. But I have not written any of the green POV just yet, but we're at 12,115 and my sprints are kind of all over the place from a high of 1,000 down to 400, maybe 300 somewhere. Yeah, I started losing steam on the 25th yesterday. Is that yesterday? So we'll see. I've got 5 more days to catch up and we're going to the beach. So I told George, hopefully we can have because we're not going to be able to be outside all the time. It's going to be 80 degrees. So hopefully we can have the kids like watching a movie or playing in the suite. I'm glad that we have kind of an extra space for them to play. So I'm hoping that I can catch up a little bit next week. Plus, now that I'm taking Facebook off my phone, hopefully I'm going to be more focused and less anxiety driven. So we're getting there, guys. We have made progress. We're getting there. Another thing, I'm going to show you the word count meter updated on my site if anybody wants to check it next week while I'm gone. If you just kind of want to check in and see if I'm getting any writing done, I will update it towards the end of the into the night every night. But also I wanted to show you guys something else, which is that earlier, a couple months ago, I saw that my friend Alexis Daria had a artist on Twitter or Instagram called Hexet made a caricature for one of her characters. And so I thought, George if you've ever seen my Heart Breathings channel, George surprised me with a drawing from Lisa Nani on Twitter, who created an avatar of me basically. And so I thought it would be fun to have another avatar from another artist that was also me. And so I reached out to Hexet and had her do an avatar kind of drawing for me that I'm hoping to use like here here on social media and some other places. So I just wanted to show you guys how cute it turned out. So her name is Hexet. She's on Instagram, and you just you can send her a photo of you, or you can tell her what your character looks like. So I'll probably want to reach out to her and have her do some of my characters as well. So maybe we can have like a drawing of Jackson maybe, or so, Harper, some of the other characters. So I think that might be fun, but she did this for me. And so you can see the kind of like the crystals. You got the moon that's very similar to my moon in my new branding. You've got the books with all the bookmarks, the black rose, that kind of thing. And I think she did a really good job. Like, this is the way I wear my hair. So I think it's super cute. So wanted to show you guys that. I really love it. And then finally, let's see. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to share. Let's see, Chrome tab, Sarah Cannon author. Okay, so if you guys want to check in on my progress next week, I've got on my main website, if you go over here, if you're on a phone, it'll just be the 3 dashes and you click on that and it says books in progress. So if you click on that, you can see a list of my books here that I'm currently working on. And of course, this is the one, Vengeful Darkness. And you can see this little word meter. This is another thing that my brilliant husband, George, created for me, that I can go in and I can update my word count for the book. So I've got this at about 110,000 words. I'm not sure if it'll go to 110 or 100 or somewhere in between. My guess is it'll be somewhere between 1 and 110 in that terms of thousands. So if you want to check in while I'm off next week, you can head to sarahcannon.com and click on books in progress, and you can see, because I'll update it every night. So just a little extra bonus there. And let me see if I can actually find, now I got to see if I can find the Muse Always Wins from George to show you guys this. I can actually, I can show you the one that he sent. It may not be the best version that we have of it, but I can at least show you this. So here's a quick reveal of the Muse Always Wins. Can you guys see that? Is that showing up? Okay, so this is the design that our designer did for the Muse Always Wins, and it is so cute. So he did it in lots of different colors. So it has the heart for heart breathings, but also the moon for Sarah Cannon branding. And it's a lot of my Sarah Cannon type colors that I have. And so here's what it would look like on a mug, if it was like a purple mug with the wraparound. So just kind of some examples. Here's what some of the stickers might look like. So it's really cool, right? I know, I am loving it so much. So this is the Muse Always Wins. Hopefully this design, if you guys are interested in grabbing a mug or anything like that, will be available for purchase probably by the time Camp Nano starts, or soon. We're probably going to do t-shirts, mugs, and things like that. And I will say, like, these things that we're doing with the Sorbine and stuff have been super fun. And I love that you guys have been purchasing them. We try to keep the cost down as low as possible. So it wasn't Cafe Press. Somebody remind me again, because I always forget which place we're using. Teespring. When we go, oh yeah, the Muse got flagged. So we're going to have to try again, because there's a band called the Muse. And so trying to call it the Muse Always Wins got flagged for trademark infringement. So we'll have to see. So thank you, guys are smarter than I am, or like better memory. So Teespring, if it tells us we have to price the t-shirt at $20 and up, we've been pricing it like $21 or something. So we're not making a ton of profit on it, so we can keep it low. But our hope is that someday, now that when we go to this bigger house and we have all this extra space, maybe we'll be able to order stuff in bulk that you guys can purchase, that we'll hire someone here to ship out for us. So that way we can actually offer them a little bit less expensive and make a little bit more profit for ourselves. But we're not there yet. So for now, it's just kind of a fun thing. Oh my gosh, that is such a great idea. So I would love to do a tarot deck. I think it would be, so I have talked about, I've talked about potentially writing a series called The Witches of the Arcana. And if I ever do that with the Four Sisters and everything, I will definitely be doing a tarot deck. For now, I have thought about doing some character cards, which would be kind of like oracle cards. But speaking of tarot decks, before we go, I got a new deck and I wanted to show you guys real quick. So this one is a recommendation from my friend E. Marie. Tarot of Mystical Moments, and it's perfect for spring. Now, this was back ordered, but I did eventually get it in. But look how beautiful these cards are. So this is the Death card. This is the Queen of Pentacles. I mean, it's so stunning. It takes my breath away. It's just so, I mean, these cards are so beautiful and whimsical and spring. Like here's the Hanged Man, which has some very Alice in Wonderland vibes to it. Look at the Wheel of Fortune. It's such a beautiful deck. I love it. But one of the reasons that she recommended this deck to me is because I was drawing the 10 of Wands over and over and over and over. Like I drew it in the month of March. I probably out of 30, we're not even to day 30, we're on day 26. Out of 26 days in the month of March, I probably drew this card for 10 of my nightly readings, which is ridiculously a lot. And I kept saying, I don't understand what it's telling me. It's like, you're on the way, you're carrying too many burdens. But I was like, but my life is going really well. It's called the Tarot of Mystical Moments. And I was like, I don't feel like I'm burdened. I feel like everything's going great. Like life is good. I had my biggest financial quarter of all time of my life this quarter. Like things are going really well. We have the house, everybody's healthy. And I was like, I don't understand what the 10 of Wands is trying to tell me. And so she sent me this deck, this card. And she said, I think this will be more meaningful for you of what the 10 of Wands is trying to say in your life. And this really hit me because it's basically she's burdened by beauty, like burdened by all the good things in her life, so much so that she's even still trying to pick more flowers. Like she's trying to continue to do more. And it's all good stuff. But just because it's all good and it's all happy does not mean that it's not still a burden or a drain on you. And so for me, this was the message of the card was, it's all good stuff. It's not like bad things are happening. It's just that so many good things can still, and like being there, serving other people, it's good stuff. It's stuff you're passionate about and you want to do, but it's still too much. You still have to set boundaries. You still have to take care of your mental health. And that can be a hard lesson to learn when you're having so much fun doing the things you're doing. Do you guys hear her? Okay, Google. She's looking up like, oh, did it hear me? What are you doing with your blanket? You want to say hi? Yeah, it's perfect. It's like too much goodness on your back. And, it's one of those kind of things. I don't know. HK Down Medic, she was saying the Hello Kitty fell, Angela. She recognized that it was a Hello Kitty that fell. Evie put it on the floor. Which card do you like? She loves looking at the tarot cards. Okay, good. Yeah. Stop. You telling Google to stop? She created her own hat. Look at how sweaty her little hair is because she was outside. Look at this hair. She's growing up so much. Look at that smile though. I mean, there's just light in this baby's eyes so much. So that's a card. Yeah. It's a tarot card, right? Yeah, it's a card. All right, you guys. So yeah, it's a beautiful card deck, a beautiful artwork, and it's about $25. I got this from another website because it was back ordered a bit on Amazon, and so I got it from another website. But I can link to it in the coven if you would like. So yeah, cards. Four of Pentacles. How cool is that? With the little locks on it. Amazing. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening to all of my explanations, for all the questions that came along. Yep, cards. I will not see you guys next week, so I will leave you there. I'm going to miss you all so very much. If you decide that you miss me as well, there are plenty of videos that you can go back and watch, like vlogs from last year, or even vlogs for my writing and stuff like that over on Heart Breathing. So you have plenty of content to keep you busy if you have not watched all of those yet. Otherwise, I'm taking a break, and I will see you guys on April 5th for episode 9 of Shadow Demons. We have 2 weeks left to read, and it's going to be literally nonstop from here to the end. So we have 5 very intense episodes left to go. And hopefully, fingers crossed, there will be a lot of extra words going up pretty soon. So we will be hopeful. We will hope. It's also possible that I will be doing a hotel night on the 4th. So we will see how that pans out, maybe. So I may show up that Monday very tired, but having done another, 8,000 words or so. So we'll see. But yes, I will see you guys in April. And that's it. You want to say bye?
This is a card.
This is a card too, she says. Look at that. It's the world card. All right. I will see you guys later. We'll probably still post some pictures on Instagram or some stories if you want to follow me there, and probably still say hello if I'm gaming at the beach on Discord. So I'll see you guys there. Say bye, everybody. Bye, everybody. Say bye.
Go.
Go. Go.
Okay, go.
Okay, Google, she says. All right. Bye, you guys. Have a great weekend. Say bye.